I died choking on my own blood in the trunk of our Lincoln. The engine's roar drowning out my screams as flames licked up from the gas I'd been doused with. My husband's face was the last thing I saw, smirking through the rearview mirror. His eyes cold as the betrayal that had gutted me worse than the knife he'd never needed to use. But death wasn't the end. It spat me back out into the body of the woman I'd been 3 years earlier. Heart pounding in our old Craftsman house in suburban Seattle. The garage door mocking me from across the driveway like a sealed tomb. Waking up that morning, September 15th, 2022. If the calendar on the fridge was right, felt like surfacing from a nightmare so vivid it left scorch marks on my soul. I was Monroe Hayes, 32, married to Derek for 5 years, and supposedly blissfully unaware of the monster sleeping in the bed beside me. My hands trembled as I poured coffee, the mug slipping from my grip and shattering on the tile floor. "Shit," I whispered, but it came out in my old voice, soft, trusting, the one that had begged him to love me when he'd whispered lies in the dark. Derek stirred in the bedroom, his voice muffled through the wall. "Monroe, you okay in there?" Always the concerned husband. Even then, I froze, memories crashing over me like Pacific waves in a storm. In my first life, he'd charmed his way into my world at a tech mixer in Silicon Valley, tall, broad-shouldered, with that easy grin and stories of startup dreams that made my graphic design gigs feel small. We'd moved to Seattle for his big break at a fintech firm. Bought this fixer-upper in Ballard with my inheritance from Mom's passing. I'd poured everything into it. The herb garden out back. The custom murals on the kids' room walls we never filled because he always had excuses for not starting a family. But that was the fairy tale. The truth? Derek had been skimming from his company's slush fund, laundering money through fake invoices I'd unknowingly illustrated for his side hustle. When the feds started sniffing around, he pinned it all on me, forged emails, doctored timestamps, even planted a burner phone in my purse with incriminating texts. I went down screaming innocence in a courtroom that smelled like stale coffee and despair, sentenced to 20 years in federal lockup. And on the night before my transfer, he'd visited me in that sterile holding cell, promised to wait, to fight for me. Then, driving me home for one last goodbye, he'd veered off into the woods outside Tacoma, doused me in gas, and lit the match. Insurance payout, he said later in the headlines, widower's tragic loss. Clean slate for his embezzlement scam. Now, here I was, reborn in the body before it all unraveled. My skin prickled with goosebumps as I swept up the ceramic shards, the broom scrape echoing like accusations. The garage. God. The garage. In my first life, I'd respected his one rule. Babe, that's my man cave. Tools. Projects. Nothing for you to worry about. I'd laughed it off. Baked him cookies instead, blind to the locks he added over the years. The late nights tinkering that weren't tinkering at all. But I knew now. That garage wasn't a sanctuary, it was his vault. Stuffed with the evidence of his crimes, hard drives, ledgers, prototypes for the crypto wallet app he'd stolen from a colleague and sold to the highest bidder. And at its heart, the artifact that would make it all worth $5 million, a prototype quantum encryption chip, ripped off from a DARPA-funded lab, hidden in plain sight among his fishing gear. I had to get in there. But not yet. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon of calculated steps, each one laced with the kind of controversy that would make headlines and shatter lives. First, play the part. I smoothed my hair, forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes, and padded into the bedroom. Derek was stretching, his six-pack abs flexing under the sheets, still the Adonis that had hooked me. "Morning. Beautiful," he murmured, pulling me down for a kiss. His lips tasted like deceit, but I leaned in, letting him think he had me wrapped around his finger one last time. That day blurred into normalcy, me at my freelance desk in the sunroom, sketching logos for eco-brands while he zoomed with clients, his voice all polished charisma. But my mind raced ahead, plotting. Step 1. Document everything without tipping my hand. I started small, snapping photos of his calendar on the sly, meetings with shady offshore accounts, lunches with that weasel lawyer from his firm. By evening, as we grilled salmon on the deck overlooking Puget Sound, I probed gently. "Hey, remember that garage project? You ever gonna let me see what wizardry you're working on?" He flipped the fish, his back to me, tension rippling his shoulders.
"Nah, Monroe.
It's just guy stuff." Boring as hell, but his laugh was forced, and I caught the flicker in his eyes when he turned, the same one from the night he lit the match. I dropped it, serving him seconds with a wink, but inside, fury simmered. That night, as he snored beside me, I slipped my phone under the pillow and recorded his sleep talk, mumbled names, dollar amounts that matched the ledgers I'd memorized from my trial transcripts. Week 1 blurred into reconnaissance. I joined a local moms group, ironic, since we had no kids, under the guise of planning ahead, but really to network with wives of his colleagues. Gossip flowed like cheap wine at book club, whispers about Derek's golden touch with investments, how he turned a $50,000 bonus into a windfall. One afternoon, over lattes at a Fremont cafe, Lisa from accounting leaned in. "Your man's a shark,
Monroe.
but watch your back. Heard he's got side deals that could sink the whole firm." My heart thudded, but I played dumb, nodding with wide eyes. "Really? He never tells me that stuff."
Inside.
I filed it away, leverage. The garage called to me like a siren song. Late one night, after he'd crashed post a work dinner that smelled like bourbon and perfume, not mine, I crept downstairs in socks, the floorboards creaking under my weight. The side door to the garage was padlocked, but I knew his combos from muscle memory, 4-7-2-9. Our wedding date twisted into something profane. The lock clicked open, and cool, musty air hit me like a slap. Flashlight on my phone. I swept the beam, shelves of power tools, a half-built workbench, fishing rods leaning like sentinels. But in the corner, under a tarp, the safe, combination etched in my brain from the night he'd bragged about his rainy day fund.
I didn't open it yet.
Too risky. Instead, I rifled drawers, finding USB drives labeled Backup, Q3, sticky notes with IP addresses that screamed dark web. One photo slipped out, me, smiling at our anniversary dinner, but circled in red with loose end scrawled beside it. My stomach roiled. This was the betrayal distilled me, reduced to a liability in his ledger of sins. By month 2, I was arming myself, enrolled in an online cybersecurity course under a pseudonym, devouring forums on white hat hacking. Controversial? Hell yes. I started mirroring his emails via a phishing link I sent disguised as a fun couples quiz from a spam bot. His inbox flooded my hidden server, threads with Victor, his Russian contact, negotiating the chip sale for $5 mil in crypto. The prototype wasn't just tech, it was a skeleton key to unbreakable encryption, stolen from a lab where Derek had consulted. He'd framed me for the initial theft, said I'd borrowed it during a site visit I'd never taken. The feds bought it hook, line, and sinker. Our marriage cracked under the facade. Fights erupted over nothing, me nagging about kids, him snapping about my moods. One night, after a screaming match where he hurled a vase at the wall inches from my head, I packed a bag and drove to a motel in Everett. Not fleeing, strategizing. There, I contacted an old college buddy.
Now a PI in Portland.
Hypothetically, I said over burner phone, if a wife's husband is cooking books. She laughed, but sent feelers out. Days later, confirmation. Derek's firm was under audit. Whispers of embezzlement pointing fingers everywhere but him. Revenge's first strike was subtle, controversial in its cruelty. I leaked anonymized docs to a whistleblower site, breadcrumbs leading to his offshore accounts. The internet exploded. Reddit threads on r/Wall Street Bets calling it fintech fiasco, Twitter storms accusing the firm of systemic fraud. Derek came home pale, glued to his laptop. Babe, you hear about this? My job's on the line. I feigned shock, rubbing his shoulders. We'll get through it. Team, right? But as I massaged knots of tension, I imagined them as nooses. The tension built like Seattle rain, relentless, soaking everything. Derek grew paranoid, installing cameras around the house. But I was always one step ahead, looping feeds with code I'd cribbed for my course. He started drinking heavier. Accusations flying. You're acting weird.
Monroe.
Like you know something. I gaslit him right back, turning his tactics against him. Me? You're the one with secrets. Derek. That garage, it's like your other woman. That sparked the blowout. He lunged, pinning me against the kitchen counter, breath hot with whiskey. You don't get it, do you? Some things are bigger than us. His grip bruised, but I met his eyes, unflinching, the eyes of the woman who'd burned. Try me. He released me, storming out to the garage, slamming the door. I waited 10 minutes, then followed, key in hand. This time, I cracked the safe. Inside, stacks of cash and rubber bands, passports with his face on different names, and the chip, a sleek black module the size of a credit card, etched with military-grade serials. Flanking it, a ledger detailing every skim, every bribe, including the $200,000 he'd funneled to my defense fund, blood money that paid his mistress's rent. Photos too, me in court, looking broken, him with her, some bleach blonde from the office, laughing on a yacht in Miami. The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was personal, visceral. He'd loved her while I rotted. I photographed it all, heart-hammering, then resealed the safe. Exit stage left, silent as a ghost. But as I slipped back inside, headlights swept the driveway. Derek returned early from wherever he'd fled to. I dove into the laundry room, pulse thundering, as his key turned in the lock. He paced the kitchen, muttering curses, then headed to the garage. Click, lock engaging. I exhaled, but sleep evaded me. The game's escalation meant risks. Decisions that would paint me gray in a black and white world. Month 3 dawned with federal agents knocking, subpoenas for the firm. Not us yet. Derek's charm offensive kicked into overdrive. Flowers. Date nights at Canlis overlooking the Sound. Promises of a baby moon in Hawaii. Let's reset. Monroe. No more secrets. I played along, but each touch felt like acid. The controversial pivot came when I decided to seduce the truth out of him. Not for love, but intel. Over candlelight and Dungeness crab, I slipped into silk, whispering vulnerabilities. I feel like we're drifting. Tell me what's really going on. He hesitated, wine loosening his tongue. It's stress,
Babe.
the audit. Some bad investments. Lies. But layered with half-truths, mentions of the asset, vague nods to Victor's timeline. By dessert, his hand on my thigh, I had recordings, admissions of creative accounting that could bury him. But the real bomb dropped when he confessed the chip's existence, drunk and desperate for absolution. It's insurance. If things go south, we cash out, disappear to Belize. For us.
Us.
The word twisted like a knife. In my first life, he'd cashed it solo, living large while my ashes scattered in the wind. Empowered, I escalated. Hired a forger through dark web channels, $10K from my secret savings, siphoned from joint accounts he'd never notice. New identities, Monroe Black. Clean slate with a backstory as a whistleblower consultant. Controversial? Absolutely. Impersonating feds in leaks would cross lines. But revenge didn't play fair. I planted the chip serial in an anonymous tip to the FBI's cyber division, routing it through proxies to his IP. Let him sweat the hounds at his door. The fallout was electric. Derek's paranoia peaked. He stripped the house of smart devices, eyes darting like a cornered animal. Our sex life, once vanilla routine, turned frantic, him claiming me like territory, me enduring for the pillow talk confessions. One dawn, tangled in sheets, he murmured about the garage. It's all there. Our future. I filed it, then excused myself to run errands, actually meeting my PI in a dingy diner off I-5. He's moving the chip next week, she confirmed. Slides of surveillance photos showing him with a duffel. Victor's yacht in Anacortes. Strike 2, sabotage. I dosed his coffee with a mild sedative, over-the-counter sleep aid. Nothing lethal, but enough to fog his drive. As he left for the meeting, I tailed in my Prius, heart in throat. The marina reeked of salt and diesel, gulls screeching overhead. From a coffee shack, I watched him board the yacht, duffel in hand. Victor, burly,
Tattooed.
with a laugh like gravel.
Handshake.
Exchange, then my anonymous virus hit, courtesy of a hacker buddy from the course forums. Their comms jammed. Alarms blaring on the chip's test run. Chaos. Shouting. Derek bolting with the bag. Victor firing warning shots into the air. He sped home, wild-eyed, bursting through the door. Someone's onto me. Fuck. I rushed to him, feigning terror. What happened? Talk to me. Words tumbled. The deal soured. Fed circling. The chip cursed. In his panic, he dragged me to the garage, first time willingly, unveiling the safe like a confessional. This is it.
Monroe.
$5 million. We run now. The module gleamed under the bulb, innocuous as a phone battery, but loaded with enough tech to topple governments. Ledgers spilled out, pages of deceit, my forged emails, timestamps manipulated to frame me for the lab heist. One entry gutted me. Eliminate liability post-sentencing. Payout. $2 million life-ins. I feigned awe, touching the chip like it was salvation. We could start over.
Kids.
A house in the sun. He bought it, pulling me close. But as his lips met mine, I palmed a USB from the pile, his master backup. Exit strategy forming, expose, then vanish. That night, I uploaded snippets to the whistleblower site, redacted just enough to ignite media frenzy without burning me. By morning, CNBC blared. Fintech giant rocked by quantum theft scandal. Derek's face on every screen, pixelated but unmistakable. The hunter became the hunted. He barricaded in his office, phone glued to ear, lawyering up. I played the loyal wife, packing essentials while he ranted about conspiracies. It's internal. Someone in the firm. If only he knew. Our fights turned nuclear, me accusing him of infidelity, true. Him gaslighting my hysteria. One evening, he cornered me in the hallway, fist raised. You think you're better? Without me, you're nothing. The slap landed, cheeks stinging, but I didn't cower. Hit me again, and you'll regret it. Defiance sparked something, fear, respect. He backed off, muttering apologies. Controversy brewed in my soul. Was I becoming him, leaking docs anonymously to reporters? I'd crossed into vigilantism, decisions that could drag innocence down. A junior analyst at his firm, mentioned in the ledgers as a pawn, lost her job overnight. Guilt gnawed, but so did justice's fire. I reached out to her via encrypted email. Not you. Fight back. Seeds of a class action whisper network. As autumn leaves turn the streets to fire, Derek's empire crumbled. Subpoenas served at our door, him.
Not me.
Agents in crisp suits, badges glinting. Mr.
Hayes.
We need to talk about a certain prototype. His face drained of color, eyes flicking to me like betrayals echo. Monroe. Call my lawyer. I nodded, dialing a wrong number instead, buying time. While he was hauled downtown, I hit the garage one last time. Full sweep, photos, scans of every page, even the cash $300K bundled, enough for my new life. The chip, I left it, bait on the hook. He returned at midnight, reeking of sweat and scotch, collapsing on the couch. They're pinning it on me. The emails. They look like yours. Bingo. I sat beside him, hand on his knee, sympathy's mask. We'll fight. I believe you.
Lies.
Sweet as pie. But his gaze sharpened. You were at that lab visit, remember? With me. Testing waters. I gasped. Perfect innocence.
Derek. I
don't recall. The seed of doubt planted. Revenge's crescendo built. I fed more tips. Coordinates to Victor's slip. Manifests of the yacht's illicit cargo. Feds swarmed Anacortes like ants on syrup. Derek unraveled, pacing nights away, accusing shadows. One dawn, he grabbed my arm, yanking me toward the garage. Show me you trust me. Burn it. All of it. The safe yawned open. Flames promised in his eyes, mirroring my death. Heart slamming. I hesitated. Controversial choice. Comply and lose evidence, refuse, and blow cover. I can't, I whispered, voice breaking true. It's wrong, he roared, shoving me against the workbench, tools clattering. Wrong? I'll make it right for us. Fist cocked. But I dodged, grabbing a wrench, not to strike, but deflect. Police. I screamed, bluff born of desperation. He froze, then fled upstairs, slamming the bedroom door. I bolted the garage, breath ragged, dialing 911 anonymously from the block away. Domestic disturbance. Craftsman on 22nd, man with a gun. Cops arrived, sirens blaring. Derek. Cornered. Resisted, taser deployed. Cuffs clicked. As they let him out, he locked eyes with me through the blinds. You bitch. You knew. Not knew, remembered. The twist hit as they searched the garage. Chip gone?
No.
I'd swapped it days prior with a dummy module. The real one mailed to the FBI with irrefutable provenance, my handwriting on the envelope. But postmarked from Portland, my PI's turf. Headline screamed, Tech mogul's quantum heist exposed, wife's secret role. Speculation flew. I was the grieving spouse or complicit mall. Controversy peaked when leaks hit. My affair with the PI, fabricated by Derek's lawyer, painting me as the mastermind. Tabloids devoured it. Black widow or victim? I vanished before the storm. Monroe Black boarding a flight to Austin. $300,000 seeding a design firm for wronged women. Cyber art exposing corporate sins. Exile in Austin felt like rebirth's awkward adolescence, hotter than Seattle's drizzle. The air thick with barbecue smoke and opportunity. I rented a loft in East Austin. Graffiti walls and food trucks humming below. Under the name Monroe Black. Days blurred into reinvention, pitching graphic novels on corporate espionage to indie presses. Nights coding anonymous blogs that dissected white-collar crime with surgical precision. The $300,000 stretched, but frugality was my armor. Memories of prison commissary lines too fresh. Even if this life hadn't scarred me that way yet. News from the Northwest trickled in like venomous drips. Derek's arraignment dominated feeds, embezzlement, theft of government property, conspiracy. Bail denied, flight risk, they said, citing his passports. His lawyer spun tales of my manipulation, painting me as the scorned harpy who'd torched our marriage for spite. Talk shows debated it. Is Monroe Hayes the villain we deserve? Pundits on Fox called for my arrest. CNN dissected the gender betrayal angle. Controversy clung like humidity. I'd saved lives by exposing the chip's black market path, potentially averting hacks on national grids. But at what cost? The junior analyst sued the firm, winning a settlement. But suicides whispered in the trades, executives cornered. One bullet to the temple. Guilt was a low hum, drowned by satisfaction's roar. I'd emailed Lisa from the moms group. Clear your name. Docs attached. She blew the whistle internally, landing a promotion. Small justices, but they stacked like bricks in my fortress. Yet dreams haunted, flames in the trunk. Derek's smirk morphing into my reflection. Was revenge hollow? Or just the start? 6 months in, the twist uncoiled. A package arrived at my P.O. box. No return address. Brown paper crinkling like old skin.
Inside.
A burner phone and a note in Derek's scrawl. You think you won? Check the video. Battery charged. I played it in a park. Picnic tables scarred by knives. Footage from our home cam, me in the garage, rifling the safe. Timestamps damning. He'd looped feeds. All right, but kept backups. Worse, appended clips of us. Intimate moments twisted to imply coercion. My face contorted in mock ecstasy. Blackmail blueprint. Pay up or face deepfake hell. Framing me as the thief. Panic surged.
But so did clarity.
He was out. Some judge's clerical error. Bail posted by Victor's Ghost Network. Free on technicalities. Plotting from a halfway house in Spokane. The note's postmark, Seattle. He was coming. I ditched the loft, crashing with a contact from the hacker forums, a wiry coder named Jax. All tattoos and Red Bull. Deepfakes? Child's play, he grinned, dissecting the file. Layers peeled, originals doctored. But metadata sloppy. Derek's VPN leaks. Counter-Strike, I flooded dark web bounties. $50,000 for his location. Tension ratcheted as winter thawed into Texas spring. Storms rolled in, thunder echoing my pulse. I took gigs illustrating true crime podcasts, channeling rage into panels of shadowed figures and locked doors. One episode, The Quantum Widow. Listeners speculated. I fielded DMs from true believers. Marriage proposals from conspiracy nuts. Isolation bred paranoia. Every barista's glance felt like surveillance. Controversial decision loomed. Go public. Claim my narrative. Or ghost deeper. Jax cracked it first. IP traced to a motel in Tacoma. Derek. Hold up. Liquidating remnants. I booked a red-eye. Landing in Seattle-Tacoma with a Glock in my checked bag. Permit fresh. Self-defense my mantra. Rental car, nondescript sedan. Plates swapped at a chop shop. Drive north. Rain sheeting windshield. Wipers thumping like a countdown. The motel squatted off the highway. Neon flickering vacancy like a lie. I parked across the lot. Hood up against the downpour. Room 12. Curtains drawn. TV glow seeping. Heart in throat. I approached. Keycard cloned from Jax's rig. Door clicked. Inside. Stale smoke and takeout. Derek. Back to me. Hunched over a laptop. Typing furiously. Miss me? Babe. His voice. Casual as ever. He spun. No shock, expecting company. Just not me. Monroe. Or should I say black? Cute. Disheveled. Beard unkempt. Eyes bloodshot. But that smirk lingered. I leveled the Glock. Steady despite tremors. End of the line.
Derek.
Feds know you're here. Chips theirs. Bluff. Jax had tipped them anonymously. But timing fuzzy. He laughed. Low and bitter. You reborn or something. Acting like you saw it coming. Closer to truth than he knew. He rose slow. Hands visible. We could split it. $5 mills plenty. Walk away heroes or villains. Your call. Temptation flickered. Easy out. Sun-soaked anonymity. But memory surged. The trunk's heat. Betrayal's chokehold.
No.
Word hung heavy. Controversial precipice. Shoot?
No.
Not murderous. Instead, I tossed cuffs his from the night of my death, engraved with his initials. Put him on. He complied, eyes gleaming calculation. As metal ratcheted, he lunged, laptop flying, chair toppling. We grappled, gun skittering under the bed. Fists flew, his haymaker glancing my jaw, my knee to his gut folding him. Bitch, he gasped, but I pinned him, knee on throat. You made me a ghost. Now you're done. Sirens wailed, my insurance call from the lot. Feds burst in, vests bulky, barking orders. Derek cuffed proper, dragged out spitting curses. She did it. Framed me from the start. Agents hauled him. But one, a sharp-eyed woman named Reyes, turned to me. MS. Haze.
Or black.
We've been waiting. Interrogation room. Coffee bitter as regret. Fluorescent buzz drilling my skull. Reyes slid folders, my tips. Traced despite proxies. You're either informant or accomplice. Talk. Confession spilled. Not the rebirth. That madness stayed buried. But the garage. The ledgers. The slap that broke the dam. He was gonna kill me. I knew it. Partial truth. Enough for immunity. Trial prep dragged summer into fall. Derek's defense. Gaslighting gospel. Me the schemer. Witnesses paraded. His mistress, tearful on stand, claiming I threatened her. Controversy crested. Justice for Derek trended. Incels rallying. While Monroe Strong trended opposite. Feminists hailing vigilante queen. I testified in a pantsuit. Voice steady. The garage wasn't a man cave. It was his crime scene. Gasps rippled as exhibits flashed. Ledgers. Chip schematics. My circled photo. Cross-exam his lawyer. Slick as oil. Hammered. You entered illegally.
Yes. Haze.
Theft. I met his gaze. Survival. Jury deliberated 2 days. Hung on lesser charges. But guilty on the big ones. Theft. Fraud. Attempted murder. The slap escalated with priors. Sentence. 30 years. No parole. As gavel fell, his eyes met mine across the courtroom. Hate pure, but broken. Outside. Press mobbed. I pushed through. Reyes at my elbow. Clean slate, she murmured.
Nod.
But freedom tasted bittersweet. The $5 mill?
Seized.
Auctioned to fund cyber defenses. Poetic. My cut. None. But justice's echo. Re-entry to normal was a myth. Shards of glass underfoot. Each step crunching illusions. Austin welcomed back with open arms. Jax threw a rager in the loft. Craft IPAs flowing. Hackers toasting the quantum queen. But toast soured quick. Media hounds sniff my trail. Datelines shifting from victim to vigilante. A Vanity Fair profile pitched. Reborn from betrayal. I declined, too close to the bone. Instead, I channeled it. Launched Black Ink Studios. Graphic novels serializing tales of women dismantling empires. First arc. Garage ghosts. Veiled autobiography. Sales spiking on TikTok hauls. Life layered on. Tentative dates with a barista named Theo. All easy laughs and no secrets. But trust? Fractured mosaic. Nights. I'd wake sweating. Phantom flames licking ankles. Derek's voice whispering from vents. Therapy helped. CBT sessions unpacking the delusion of foresight. Coded as PTSD. You got instincts like a survivalist, my shrink said. Damn right. Rebirth's gift. Unshared. Controversy lingered like barbecue haze. Derek's appeal dragged. Appeals court grilling my unethical hacks. Ethics board probed. Was I whistleblower or cyber vandal? Cleared. Barely. Precedent set for citizen journalism and extremists. But scars showed the junior analyst. Now an ally. Ghosted after her books flop. Blaming my shadow. You lit the fire. I got burned. Fair? Maybe. Revenge's ripple. Unforgiving. Twists aftershock hitfall. A letter. Prison postmark. Derek. Contrite script. Monroe, I get it now. The burn. But you? You're the monster you feared. Enclosed, a drawing. My face in the trunk. Flames stylized like abstract art.
Chills.
He knew, somehow. In lockdown confessions. Pieced my prophecy. Or madness. I burned it. Ashes swirling in the loft's AC. But doubt seated. Had I escalated too far? The slap I'd called attempted murder stretching truth for the win. Climax echoed in echoes.
Victor extradited.
Spilling on cartels eyeing the chip for ransomware empires. My tips saved a grid in the Midwest from blackout. Quiet heroics. Medals denied. Reyes called. Off-record thanks. Your why we sleep nights. Validation. But hollow. I visited the old house, sold at auction. Gutted for flips. Standing in the empty garage. Bulb socket dangling. I whispered to ghosts. Worth it. Ending bent toward light. Tragic edges sanded smooth. Theo proposed over brisket. Ring simple. Turquoise inlay. No garages. No secrets. I said yes. Belly swelling 3 months later with our first girl. We named Riley.
Fierce as rain.
Black ink thrived. Sequels greenlit. Revenge's reckoning, exploring gray morals in ink and panel. Years blurred. Derek died in custody. Shank fight over commissary debts. No tears, closure's cold math. I testified for reforms. Cyber ethics boards. Voice carrying weight. At Riley's 5th birthday. Piñata bursting candy, like confetti justice. Theo grilled burgers. Jax DJ'd bad techno. Laughter drowned old roars. But in quiet, staring at Soundview paintings I'd never sell, I wondered, rebirth a gift or curse? I'd died innocent, returned vengeful, controversial evolution. American as apple pie and pitchforks. The garage? Demolished. Foundation poured for a community center. Hayes House, ironic sanctuary.
Inside.
Murals of women breaking chains. My brush first. Worth $5 million?
Nah.
Priceless. The life reclaimed. Betrayals buried. Future forged in fire's afterglow. Hook, line, and sinker. This time, I reeled myself in.